Promises, promises, promises. People are full of promises, but my question is, do we have to keep every single promise that we make? Let's talk about it on today's first story. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now, if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and get ready for some good stories. Let's go. Am I the asshole for breaking my promise to my stepkids and abandoning and traumatizing them because I did not want to parent them anymore? So I met Will when I was 22. Will was 29 with 2 kids and had newly been widowed. We had a whirlwind courtship where he introduced me to the kids and got me involved in their lives very early, like the first few days after I met him. Will said really quickly that he was sure I was the one, not only for himself, but also for his kids, that we'd have an incredible, happy family life. We got married when I was 23, Will was 30, and his kids were 8 and 6. Our wedding ceremony also included me and the kids making promises to each other, which was Will's idea. Soon, Will shoved all the childcare onto me. I wasn't a stay-at-home spouse, I worked full-time and always have. But he always had reasons for me to do the childcare. Him being sore from doing a physical job, me being better at it, since I babysat kids this age in the past and he never had, or just girl stuff for his daughter, or cooking or anything. He always had some reason and it ended up always on me. He started playing video games and relaxing from getting home until bed because he was tired and he was bringing in the money and keeping the roof over everyone's heads, though that wasn't really true. He said he deserved to relax. Then he went out with his friends or brought them back to drink beer and watch loud TV. He developed a major attitude with me and encouraged the same in my kids. They found it funny. He started openly disrespecting me and encouraged them to also. He was the ultimate fun dad, and I got put in the role of the mean witch. Sometimes they all ganged up on me and mocked me, but also all expected me to serve them and constantly be jumping up to care for them. By the end of the first year, I realized the marriage was a big mistake, but felt guilty leaving because of my promises to the kids. Another year went by and I realized that no matter how hard I tried, and how I knew they were only kids and I didn't really blame them, I genuinely hated both of the kids. And I could not lie to myself anymore and pretend that I loved them. I did not, and I never would. One day I just walked out, packed up everything of mine and moved out while nobody was at home. I left a note explaining that it wasn't working and saying goodbye. That was the end of it. Cue the crap storm from my ex and a bitter divorce, but we both walked away with what we went into the marriage with, which was not much for either of us. I had never legally adopted the kids, so I had no rights or responsibilities about them, and I never reached out to any of them again. Honestly, I was overjoyed to be rid of them all. 15 years have gone by, and that seems like a lifetime ago, or another person's life. But I'm still in my 30s. I was recently shocked to get a message from Tamara, Will's daughter, now 25. Tamara said I betrayed and traumatized her for life for abandoning them after my promises to them. She said I had a responsibility to never leave no matter what. I know she remembers the horrible way she treated me though. It just feels like that marriage was based on a lie. You didn't really know these kids at that time. You were forced to make this promise to them at the wedding. It all seems like some grand fantasy that the husband was trying to, achieve. And he did achieve that. He locked you down as bangmaid and then gave all responsibility to you, then locked you into that contract, quote unquote, at the wedding where you had to promise all of this to them. Unfortunately, Tamara is 25 years old, has a fully developed brain and should understand her actions and her father's actions at the time. Tamara has absolutely no excuse for coming to you and saying that you had this responsibility and that you abandoned them. I feel like that's a cop-out. I feel like that's massively disrespectful from Tamara, where she knows what happened in all those years. She knows what her dad's like, and she still chooses to attack you. I would ignore her. I wouldn't even respond. I'd block her, go no contact, and move on with my life. So I don't think you're the asshole for this, OP. I think she and her father suck for doing this to you, not the asshole. Now in the comments, HoldFast02 says, not the asshole. There is never a responsibility to never leave. That is ridiculous. Sure, a 10-year-old may reasonably think so, but a 25-year-old should know better. Agreed. I was bitter when my mother left and divorced my stepdad when I was 10. As an adult, I realized that he was a guy who refused to get a job and just sat around the house all day. But he would leave for work in the morning as I was getting ready for school to keep up appearances. You've had a rational realization about what happened. I don't think that this will happen here. If a 25-year-old is still traumatized from someone she barely knew 15 years ago, then there's nothing OP could say or do that'd change that. She probably has a skewed perspective from the remaining dad on OP. Much easier to blame others than take responsibility yourself. So any problems that arise after the divorce, there was always a scapegoat to have the children blame. Resentment just builds up on false pretenses for 15 years, and then you have a situation like a 25-year-old blaming OP without any self-reflection on the matter. Cups of Cursed Tea says, not the asshole. Your husband didn't want a wife. He chose a younger woman and whisked her off her feet to be his live-in maid, nanny, and cook. He knew what he was doing when he asked you to make that promise to the kids, emotionally manipulating you into staying even though he treated you like crap. It's sad that the children lost their mother, but their father encouraging them to treat you like the evil stepmom was cruel to both you and them. Clearly, the behavior he showed continued after you left, and he kept telling Tamara and her brother how awful you were. You got yourself out of there. Well done for being strong and wise enough to do so. Many people don't have the strength to do that. And you need to stay out of there, OP. Not your circus, not your monkeys. You made a promise, but a promise is made with agreements and conditions, usually from both parties. You didn't hold up your end because they were relentless with their bullying. Not the asshole. Only thing to add to this is very well done for leaving the situation. My thoughts are colored by the fact a friend was murdered by a controlling husband at the weekend, but you left before the control turned violent and worse. Our next post is by user EuphoricInevitable28, titled, Am I the asshole for reminding my sister she was deemed not fit to adopt when she tried to adopt one of my twins? So me and my sister Mia both suffer from fertility issues. I made peace with it long ago, but Mia always wanted kids, so she and her husband kept trying. From IVF to adoption, all of them resulted in a dead end. I recently found out that I was 2 months pregnant with twins. My partner Kyle and I were surprised but happy. I called up my sister and told her the news and said I was going to announce it to the family at a gathering at my house. I expected her to be angry, as she has been with other family members for getting pregnant, and told her it was okay if she couldn't come and felt it would be too much for her. Surprisingly, she said she was okay and therapy had helped and agreed to come. So 3 days ago, I hosted a family gathering at our place and announced it via watching pictures on a projection screen, the last photo being my ultrasound. Immediately, all family members looked at me and they understood. All of them congratulated me and Kyle, including Mia and her husband. Mia kept really close to me throughout the gathering and asked to see the ultrasound multiple times, which me and Kyle brushed off to her being happy for me. That night, Mia called me and said she had something important to say. She wanted to adopt one of the twins. I was appalled. I said I am not giving up my twins for adoption. She kept trying to encourage me to give in and said it would be the right thing to do since we were twins as well. I was getting pissed off and told her I couldn't even if I wanted to, since all the adoption agencies had rejected her application and deemed her unfit to raise a child. She started crying, called me a bear, and said I didn't deserve to be a mother and wished the children not to be born to a mother like me. I hung up at that. Since then, my mother and some paternal aunts, who also suffer from the same fertility issues, have been texting and messaging me, calling me inconsiderate and selfish. Kyle, my dad, and maternal family are with me on this. My mother says we didn't plan the baby, and it wouldn't hurt to give away one of the twins, especially when she would still be in the family. I have seen Mia break down during other relatives' pregnancy announcements and be hysterical. I genuinely thought she was okay with my pregnancy after being in therapy, but apparently not. Still, I did say those things to her knowing that it would hurt her. Some maternal aunts said that it was probably a mood swing, but I don't know. Am I the asshole? Again, I'm perplexed that people exist in this universe that would think what this sister is trying to do is a sane and rational thing, and then agree with her, and then attack OP for not agreeing with their irrational, insane thoughts. I really want to know where these crazy people live in the world, because what is going on? If I was in OP's shoes, I'd do everything to get these people away from me, trying to take and separate twins. That's just a really bad idea. You don't just separate twins like that. So yeah, I'm 100% on OP's side for this one. Everyone else is just crazy to me, and I'm not even going to try and think about where they're coming from. Not the asshole. Now in the comments, Lyra says, "Not the asshole, and you need to move, somewhere that she doesn't have the address. It very, very likely will not stop here. It will escalate and it will get horrible. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that insanity. Jesus Christ, I would be putting immediate distance, as much as possible, between us after that." Edit to add, what the hell is with all the comments saying that everyone sucks here because of what she said? She wasn't expressing her opinion. She was reiterating a fact that had just become suddenly relevant as her sister was actively proving the point in front of her. She was acting wildly unfit to be around children, and OP said so. Not surprising at all, since her twin was not giving up on asking for her baby. Also, ask Mia to raise this request with her therapist. Let's see what sort of a reality check she gets there. If she actually has a therapist. Royal Aoki says, "Not the asshole. What an utterly ridiculous request. Who on earth would willingly hand their baby over to a relative upon request? You were simply giving Mia a dose of reality." I think what's worse is their mother apparently agrees with Mia. "Oh, they weren't planned, just give one up, you won't notice the difference." I honestly don't know what I would do if my mother uttered something so horrible. Reading it gave me violent thoughts. I'm so glad I was not the only person to feel this way. Literally talking about these babies like they're toys. "Oh, you have two? You can share one with your sister." Unbelievable. And not the asshole. I'm so sorry you're going through this, but Mia's fertility issues are not your issues, and she has absolutely no right to ask you to give up one of your children. I would strongly recommend you go low or no contact with your family for the duration of your pregnancy, both for your safety and your sister's mental health. And our next post is by user Can't Dance and Still Do It, titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my friend that her getting treated like a doormat is her choice and that I won't do the same? My 27 female partner, S, 32 male, and I have been together for around 3 years. Our relationship has always been a little odd from the outside. S works 80+ hours per week as a lawyer at a large firm. I work as a policy analyst for the government at a nice 37.5 hour per week in comparison. Before we dated, he told me that he wants to work up to being a partner, and that would require long hours. I told him that I prioritize work-life balance, even if it means a lower salary. We agreed to date knowing this about each other. My best friend V, 27 female, and her boyfriend started dating our first year of uni and have a rocky relationship. The boyfriend cheated on V in our last year of uni, and he's since been caught cheating again twice. V, against my advice, has chosen to stay with him. S recently got a promotion, and as part of the deal, was assigned an assistant. When I met her, I kind of got a vibe that she was crushing on S. She was really flirty and very attentive to S, which he pointed out to me first. He said that he'd still keep her on as assistant, but that he would make sure nothing got out of hand. I wasn't concerned because I never had a reason to worry that he would cheat on me. One night, V and I got dinner, and later decided to go back to my place. S's office is in between the restaurant we were at and my apartment building, so I offered to go drop off some food for him. I asked V if it was okay if we stopped, and she agreed. When we got to his first floor, he was working in a glass-paneled room alone with his assistant. I didn't think much of it, dropped off the food, and left. I also want to add that there were lots of other people in the office. As soon as we left, V asked if that was the assistant that I thought had a crush on S. I said yes, that they often work late together. V got angry at me, saying that I was treating this like a joke and that if I want to keep my man, I have to stake my claim, or something like that. I explained to her that I wasn't worried that he would cheat and that I trusted him. V told me that she was certain that he was cheating and that I should force him to ask for a different assistant. I was getting kind of annoyed, but it got worse when V said, amongst other things, that S knows he can cheat on me and I'd let him because he makes more money than me, so he doesn't need to respect me because he pays more. S's salary is around 3 times mine, although I have an okay salary myself at around 85k, and I don't need him for money. We split bills percent-wise, so I pay less than he does, but it's equitable and we agreed on it. I told V that just because she's okay being treated like a doormat doesn't mean that I am, and that if he cheated on me, I would leave him. Respect is essential in a relationship. I also said that she had no place offering relationship advice considering her boyfriend is a serial cheater, and they fought all the time, and that if she wanted to keep complaining to me, I should start charging her. It was mean, and I feel really bad about it now. She hasn't talked to me since. So am I the asshole? No, OP. That is the truth. That is not even a harsh truth. That is the harsh reality of her situation and of your situation. If you hadn't said that, I think people here would be saying that you let her off easy. I mean, that's what you had to say to her to get her to realize she's being ridiculous in this situation. If she refuses to take your advice, and continued to refuse to take it in the past, why should you listen to her now? It's obvious that in this same situation, the best thing you could do is ignore her advice because that would be treating her as she has treated you. I don't like anything she's said to you here. That is ridiculously disrespectful to you and your relationship. I'm gonna say not the asshole, as I agree completely with you and what you've said. Now in the comments, Worry About You Ho says, not the asshole. She's projecting, and she insisted on being rude while refusing to drop it when you disagreed politely the first time. Exactly this. V can't trust her partner because he's cheated on her many times, and therefore doesn't understand that other people can have trusting relationships. But if trust in a relationship is possible, then not only was V wrong to take her partner back, every decision made involving him since then has been wrong, and every second spent with him was a waste of time. Definitely best to assume all men cheat when not chained to a radiator, easier than second-guessing one's entire life. Yeah, I'd bet this is the root cause of the pain that's causing her to lash out. I feel bad for her, as she clearly has no idea what a trusting relationship looks like. Not bad enough to say OP was in the wrong though. Not the asshole. Congratulations for being in a mature relationship where you aren't paranoid about your significant other banging everything in sight. That's a great place to be, and you weren't wrong to tell her to cut the analysis. She stepped way over the line. That being said, might not hurt to reach out and try to soften what you said. Unfortunately, sometimes the truth hurts, and you put it on her pretty good. I wouldn't. That girl needs to hear the truth loud and clear. Not the asshole. I don't think OP said anything wrong in the moment, but it's possible to communicate the truth while also being tactful. If the friendship is important to her, I don't think there's anything wrong with reaching out now, after the fact, and saying, "Hi V, I'm sorry that I let my anger get the best of me in the way I expressed what I said. While I do obviously worry about your relationship with your boyfriend due to his past behavior, and the fact that you don't seem happy with him to me, it's only because I care about you, and I don't want to see you get hurt. But I recognize that it's completely your choice how you want to handle your relationship. In the same way, I hope you can understand that I trust and respect S and feel confident that he feels the same way towards me, and that he would never break that trust, regardless of who he works with or what our financial situation is. In the same way that I respect your decisions regarding your relationship, I hope you can respect mine, and we can put this behind us because I miss talking to you. You are not taking back anything you said, but framing it as an act of love and respect rather than one of judgment, which can only help. Our next post is by user Negotiation Brief 9580, titled, "Am I the asshole for digging my heels in with my fiancé concerning a surname? My fiancé, 27 female, and I, 30 male, are getting married next year. I pretty much let her run the show when it comes to the wedding and reception. Her last name is from her biological father who left when she was 2. Her mother remarried and she's said for years that she can't wait to get married to change it. For 6 years, I've heard about what a piece of garbage this guy is. I am the last male to carry my name. There are only 4 people with the name, so it's always been important to me to pass it on to my children. She wants to get married in a Catholic church. I'm not Catholic, but it means a lot to her, so I'm in the process of converting. She wanted to be close to her mum and sister, so I left a job that I loved, found a new job, and we moved 4 hours away from my family to be closer to them. Her sister is a recovering alcoholic, so we don't keep liquor in our apartment despite the fact that I love to have a beer after work. I have made many changes to accommodate her. She's acknowledged it, and I always respond that all I care about is passing my name on, and she responds with a number of days until our wedding. Shortly after we arrived, Bio Dad contacted her out of the blue. He heard from relatives that she was getting married and decided that it was the perfect time to reconnect. All of a sudden, I now hear what a wonderful guy Paul is, how hard he's trying, and how wonderful it is that he is back. Often, I get home from work and she's gone, only to arrive home past midnight after being out with Paul and her half-siblings. I hate that I don't see her as much, but I know how much it means to her to have a relationship with him. At the same time, after years of hearing her trash him, I'm not even allowed to think bad thoughts about him. She's planning on having him walk her down the aisle, which I don't think is appropriate, but it's her decision. This weekend was the bombshell. She told me that her father brought up the importance of their name, that she's decided to keep it. This stung very badly. I replied that it was her choice, I just wanted to pass my name down. She smiled uncomfortably and informed me that she wanted the first boy to carry her name because it would mean so much to Daddy. I told her that is not happening. She suggested that we hyphenate as a compromise. I told her that there was no negotiation, that I had one thing that was important to me. I'd moved heaven and earth to give her what she needed in everything else, but I wouldn't budge an inch on this. She told me I was being unreasonable. I responded that I have been in her life longer than he has, and asked her who it was that she was trying to start a life with, me or him. She started crying and accused me of being jealous of her relationship with her father. My parents and her mum and stepdad agree with me and think that she's allowing Paul to influence her. Her sister thinks that I was an ass for asking that question and refusing to compromise. And I'm with you 100% on this one. I don't agree with the sister calling you an ass for asking that question and refusing to compromise. Oh, I'm sorry. We've had this agreement in place the whole time. He did move heaven and earth for her. He has accommodated her so much. How disrespectful of the sister to say that he was an ass for standing his ground and refusing to compromise. She knows what Paul has done. She knows that Paul is being manipulative in this situation as the parents and stepdad agree. Both the sister and the wife in this situation are being irrational. I completely disagree with them on everything that they've done here. I would be as deeply offended and, I guess, really hurt if I was OP in this situation. It really isn't fair what is happening to them, and I want him to continue to stick up for himself. So I'm going not the asshole. Now in the comments, Spaghetti Hips Don't Lie says, "Not the asshole. I'm not going to read other comments. Staying out till midnight with your mostly estranged father after years of hating him is also effing weird. I'm not jumping to weird incest conclusions, but I do believe that OP's wife should talk to a therapist about the impact of her father coming back into her life. There is definitely something going on in terms of her being eager to please him due to finally getting attention after childhood abandonment. Or he could be parentally love-bombing her. I'm saying this because she seems to now be obsessing about his role in her life, which is not healthy. Current surname issue aside. Honestly, I think jumping to incest is kind of weird here. When I read this story, I agree with you that she's so stung from being abandoned as a kid that she's bending over backwards to gain approval and hopefully keep dad from leaving this time. I hate calling her an asshole because I'm not even remotely close to understanding what it's like to grow up with a parent that just decided to up and leave and go no contact. So I would just suggest some sort of therapy for her like you suggested. Lileve77 says, "You're not the asshole, but unfortunately you also can't force her to change her name. Use this as a time to evaluate your relationship. Perhaps couples counseling would be a good idea before saying your I do's. Good luck." And OP says, "Clarification, while I would love if she took it, and it hurt to know that she's decided not to after 6 years of saying that she wanted to change her name, I never tried to force it. I accepted it as her decision. I only put my foot down when it came to our future children." Then you deserve better. She changed the game at the last minute. Yeah, and what compromises has she ever made for you? Because this sounds like all take and no give from her end. Are you sure this is someone you want to get married to? I would definitely consider couples counseling on this. Edit. Found OP's comment below where he says that she hasn't had to compromise on anything because most of the time you guys are in agreement with each other. So OP is the only one giving in. So yeah, that's by One Lonely Pineapple says info. What kind of compromise has she made for you? What kind of changes has she made for you? And OP replies, honestly, she hasn't had to make any. Believe it or not, on 90% of things, we are in complete agreement. The things I've compromised on are things that I was willing to do to make her life easier. She wanted to live closer to her family. My parents are retiring within 10 years and likely leaving that area, so they didn't make a lot of sense other than I really liked my job and the people I worked with. I don't hate my current job, but it's not the same. I love the girl. The girl wants to live here, I go with the girl. I felt like taking my name was equivalent because it's a big change. She knew that it was important to me, so as of now, she's made no compromises or changes. But this is an issue because you have no balance at all. You are making her life easier, and she's not considered anything to make your life easier. There's no way you should be on the marriage track if you're this out of balance. And if your parents are going to be moving away in 10 years, it actually made perfect sense to stay where you were. Spend time with your family and enjoy your awesome job. Then when your parents retire and leave the area, move to near her family so she can enjoy the same family closeness. That would have been the reasonable compromise in my opinion. And you're also converting to Catholicism, which is a lot. Are you sure this is necessary too? The Catholic Church allows non-Catholics to be married to a Catholic in church, provided that they are members of one of the 3 monotheistic religions and have gone through the rites in their own religion and denomination. I married a non-Catholic in a Catholic church, and so did several of my friends, including one who married a Jewish man in the Catholic Church. Not the asshole. Honestly, she doesn't have to take your name, but that is a 180-degree turn that needs to be examined for sure. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.